Hello, fellow citizens. Today is the 25th of August, 2021. This is the People's Coalition for Civil Action, PCCA, the voice of the people of South Sudan. Today, we are issuing this briefing note to the people of South Sudan on a number of items, things that have happened over the last few weeks since the launch of the People's Coalition for Civil Action, which is 24 days today since the declaration. And we want to start with appreciation. We want to appreciate the people of South Sudan who have listened to our message, and they have risen up and accepted to join the People's Coalition's call for popular uprising. The overwhelming support that has come from all the 10 states and the 3 administrative areas, from the refugee camps in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Sudan, from our people in diaspora, in the United States, in Australia, in Canada, in Europe, and in Eastern Africa, and even among all the political forces. We are delighted, and we are proud to be South Sudanese people. And we have the full confidence that the process that we have started has expanded and grown in 3 weeks. And we could not have imagined the level of support that we are getting right now. So we want to thank our people for that. We will work together to rebirth our country and to restart the building of our nation together. Second, we want to update you on the situation of Governor Awolich Quill, who was arrested 22 days ago by the National Security. He was arrested for signing the declaration of the People's Coalition for Civil Action. He was arrested and taken to the Blue House, and over a week ago, he was transferred to the central prison in Juba. He is still restricted. He is not visited by anyone except select number of family members who are able to visit him. Governor Quill's health situation is not looking good, and he needs immediate medical attention. And therefore, we call on the government of South Sudan to release Governor Quill, who has committed no crime whatsoever. This is to suppress people's opinions, people's freedom to speak, to associate, and to assemble. So we demand his immediate release, and we will continue to monitor his situation. The third item that we want to touch on is the recent interview of the presidential spokesperson, Atany with the Rumbek television. He was interviewed by Mawan Gordon Motat, and there were a number of claims that Honorable Atany has made, for which we may need to make a response. First of all, Honorable Atany was supposed to respond to very serious allegations that we have leveled against the government and against President Kiir, including the apparent leadership failure. And he did not respond to any of those. Instead, he went ahead and made some wild claims that part of the reason Governor Quill and I are frustrated is because we're looking for jobs in the State House and we fail to get the jobs. We want to make it absolutely clear to the people of South Sudan that those claims are unfounded. We have never sought any jobs in the State House. And if there is any application that we had submitted, Atanyueg is obliged to publish it publicly. We are not jobbies. We are serious revolutionaries, and we must be taken for who we are. We want to change the political landscape in South Sudan by introducing peaceful political discourse. And this is what matters at this time. It doesn't matter what jobs we did with the government in the past or that we will do with the government in the future. What we are talking about right now is the desire of the ordinary people of South Sudan from all over the country to change the political landscape, to tell the failed leadership that the time has come to go home. This is what we are, and we must be taken serious on that. We are not job seekers. Obviously, it became apparent that Honorable Atanyueg took nearly 30 minutes defending the indefensible, defending Tudkel and his cohorts from the NCP, who are ill-bent to bring our country to its knees and to essentially kill the Liberation Party, the Sudan People Liberation Movement, the SPLM, and to bankrupt the country and to propagate Islamization, radical Islamization. These are facts that are on the ground, cannot be denied. And so it is now obvious that Honorable Atanyueg's interview has exonerated us for the things that we charge the government are true, and they were only confirmed by his statements. The fourth item we want to touch on is the position of the National Youth Union. 2 days ago, the chairman of the National Youth Union issued a public statement claiming that the People's Coalition's call for popular uprising is a recipe for disaster in the country and for chaos. And we want to inform the people of South Sudan that what chaos are they talking about? The country is already in chaos, total chaos indeed. The recent killings of nuns, Catholic nuns on Jubal Numali Road, and the killing of other innocent civilians, and the butchering of civilians in Tumbra, and also the crisis ongoing in Kidguang and many other parts of our country. That is chaos. And you have a government of national unity that is totally dysfunctional, unable to implement the security arrangement of the peace agreement, and militarizing heavily Juba town in violation of the peace agreement. So this is what is we consider chaotic. But there is no chaos when ordinary people rise up to challenge their government that has failed to serve them and demand change. That is not chaos. That is called change. It's called transformation. And so the people of South Sudan should not be scared by uttering of chaos and disintegration of the country. We are actually uniting the country. And in 24 days, we have managed to unite the people of South Sudan from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south, from the center. Our people are speaking with one voice in the refugee camps, in diaspora, in the displacement camps, in the army, whether in rebellion or with the government, our people are speaking with one voice. And this is what has scared the government of President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar. They survive in chaos. They cover their failures in chaos. And so when we are calling for our people to stand up together, we are actually uniting the country which they have shattered, they have scattered through their failed leadership. And so no one in the current government has any legitimacy to question the intentions of the people of South Sudan to take their country back from the jaws of the hawks and the vultures that are tearing it apart. We are obliged by our own constitution and by our own moral instinct that our country is dying a slow death, and we may lose it unless we rise up and get our country back. So the youth of South Sudan, who are the victims of the current system, must rise up. The chairman of the youth union was elected in murky circumstances when some of his opponents were forced out by the national security to run out of the country so that they don't contest against the one anointed by the state. That is precisely the reason we have risen up, is to challenge that system, which picks and chooses winners and losers, instead of allowing merits to determine who gets what. It is the state that determines who gets what, and we reject that state. That's why we have to rise up and challenge that system and restore a system that respects us for who we are and that gives us equal opportunities. The growing insecurity is the fifth element. We have seen what is happening in Kidguang area, where elements of SPLM-IO are fighting one another, threatening the security of the country. We have seen the killing in on Numili Road and other places, and also the ongoing conflict in Tumbra. Those who talk of chaos, if what is happening in Tumbra is not chaos, what else is? Where the SPLM-IO and the government, who are now members of the Government of National Unity, are sponsoring militias to fight one another, to fight for the people of Western Equatoria who have been peaceful all along. They have been stoked and pitted against one another to kill each other, the Balanda and the Zande. And this is the work of a government that is sitting. No government in the world would fit its own people against one another. This is why the time has come for these leaders who divide and kill us to go. And we are therefore standing in full solidarity with the people of Western Equatoria. We stand in full solidarity with those who have been displaced. We stand in full solidarity with those who have lost their loved ones. This is the country that we must reject, and we must rise up to return our country to where it's supposed to be, to where it was, a country where people love one another, people trade, people prosper together. We must denounce once and for all the divisions, the hatred that is being propagated against and among our people. Number 6, it surfaced in the last 1 week. There was a leaked document of $650 million loan taken from Diamond Bank through shady business deals. And then recently another loan came from IMF in the form of 334 million. So you are talking about the month of July and month of August, South Sudan has borrowed nearly $1 billion. And it is not so clear, this 650 million, what it is for. It is alleged that it is for the construction of roads. What roads? The roads are already taking our oil. The Baragazar road has been commissioned to take 30,000 barrels a day of crude. And I believe the same arrangement is true for the road of Bo Road, Juba Bo Road. What is this 600 million for? And whose bank account has it been deposited into? So this goes to show the claim that we made that this country is being looted and our citizens go unpaid, yet a lot of money is being transacted in their name. Loans are being taken and deposited in personal accounts. And so this is exactly why we should rise up, take our country back, and stop these loans. These are necessary loans, burden of loans being put on our children, for which we have nothing to show. If these roads were actually built, that would be fine. But the roads are not built, but the money has been taken. So the government has to come clean on to explain to the people of South Sudan what this 650 million is for, and who is borrowing it, and who authorized it. These are questions that ordinary people must ask. And so on the 30th of August, 2021, all the accumulated questions that the people of South Sudan have against the government will be asked, which is why we ask people to come out and ask these questions. Today I also listened to an interview with the most decorated General Kwame Nyang-Juk, who is a member of the SPLM Political Bureau. And in that video, Governor Kwal narrated a very sad story of how members of the SPLM came to him to beseech him to become the SPLM Secretary General, to which he refused, but following a number of interventions from the SPLM historical leaders, he accepted, only to be snapped in a meeting by President Salva Kiir. He was nominated by his colleagues and was seconded, yet the president had his own idea and nominated someone else. He nominated Peter Lamboth, somebody that I respect a lot. He's a committed member of the SPLM. But it was wrong to snap a high historical figure such as Governor Kwal. This goes to show how the country is being managed. The decisions are taken by one man, and one man only speaks. So in that political bureau meeting, the president nominated someone and nobody seconded his nomination. But there was silence in that room. Nobody would dare to speak. A country where Governor Kwal, Dr. James Waniga, Daniel Awedakot, Mang Nyopoch, Nial Deng Nial cannot speak. I did not hear about Paul Mayam, who is a member of Political Bureau, and Honorable Awud Deng Ashwil, whether they were there. But if it is a meeting in which these honorable members of the SPLM cannot speak, it goes to tell you who is running this country. The SPLM is not in charge of running South Sudan. And that is precisely what is wrong. And that is why we are inviting even members of the SPLM Political Bureau, members of the National Liberation Council and the Secretariat, to join the people of South Sudan on the streets so that they can reclaim their country back. A country that has been hijacked full swing by Islamists. So I feel terribly ashamed and embarrassed by the embarrassment that was done to Governor Kwal to be snapped in such a way by a person. He rose in 2005 after the death of John Garang. The story has it that it was Governor Kwal who got up and told President Kiir that he should assume the leadership. And after his nomination, no one else stood up to challenge him. This is the very person that the president bypassed. This is the country that we have today. Now, number 8, we are getting a lot of reports. Some are confirmed, some are not confirmed, of heavy deployment of the military in the city. First, this is a violation of the very agreement that the government's life is hinged on. They all shout on top of their lungs that we are implementing the revitalized peace agreement. Yet, the very peace agreement in chapter 2 talks about demilitarization of Juba and other major towns. Yet, all the partners of the peace agreement, including the SPLMIO, SOA, FDs, OPP, civil society, and IGAD, JMAC, and even the citizen VM, everybody is quiet. The international community is quiet. IGAD is quiet in the face of this major violation, which is seen in every roundabout of Juba. Isn't that what they call hypocrisy? That is hypocrisy. There is no agreement being implemented in Juba. The government calls the shots. They can deploy, no problem. They can withdraw, no problem. And that is precisely why we had declared the RRC is dead. It's not working. It's being selectively implemented, and the parties who sign it are so weak that they cannot challenge the decisions of the government. I'm very sure the rest of the RT Gunu were not consulted when the military is being deployed in all corners of the city. And nobody dared to ask, why is the military being deployed in the city? Is it because the people of South Sudan, the ordinary people, have said that they want to rise up and question the government? Is that what governments do? They deploy military against their own citizens? That is not acceptable, and the government should be ashamed of that. And we therefore demand immediate withdrawal of the heavy machinery that has been placed on the streets of Juba. We also condemn strongly the harassment of border riders and the public transport riders and small business owners who are harassed on a daily basis on the roads of Juba. This is not acceptable. Citizens should not live in constant fear. Citizens should be free. The meaning of freedom means people are absolutely free from being encumbered. Yet, on a daily basis, the government is encumbering these people. Being stopped anyhowly, their border is being confiscated, and their licenses being taken, being demanded to pay unwarranted fees. These are all forms of harassment and a form of extortion. They should not be practiced on the streets of free people. And therefore, that's why we are inviting all the border riders and the public transport workers, small business owners, to come to the streets on the 30th of August to demand their rights and to actually blow a whistle for the fault of the state and for the fault of the police. But again, now it is a moral dilemma. How do you blame police officers who are deployed to protect citizens and their properties on the streets, who have no salaries? They don't get paid. They have to survive on the streets. And so the harassment is actually a result of an attempt of those policemen to try to make a living and to try to save their country at the same time. That's why we're asking those police officers to actually join their people on the street on the 30th and march along with them. We also heard some directives from the mayor and the governor of Central Equatoria. They're meeting with the workers' union and all the business owners and all of that, and they were promised that their problems are going to be resolved. That is an attempt, obviously, to bribe them so that they don't protest. But the promise, of course, will not last. Of course, on the 31st of August, whether the protest has succeeded or failed, that promise will not be kept. So the people of South Sudan should not be duped or be bribed into silence by a last-minute attempt to appease ordinary citizens. These are tricks. These are all weak tricks of a system that has no plan for its citizens. It's a plan as they go. So this is a window dressing, and the people of South Sudan, especially the business owners and the border-borders, the small women business owners, should not listen to this. This is just a small bribe for a much bigger prize. Come out and tell the government, including the city mayor and the governor, that they have not been there for them during their struggles. And last-minute bribe will not sway their opinions. Number 10, there is a planned opening of the parliament on the 30th. Isn't it ironic that a parliament that was supposed to be opened today, or yesterday actually on the 23rd, is on the 24th, is going to be open on the 30th. What a coincidence. Obviously, we don't recognize that parliament is a parliament of individuals being appointed by the parties. It is not an elected parliament. And so we want to appeal to the members of parliament to do three things. One, those who were elected in 2010 by their constituencies, you have an obligation, a moral obligation, and a constitutional duty to serve the interests of your constituencies. And the popular opinion of the people of South Sudan right now is for you to stand with them during the popular uprising or during protests. And so you can either stand with them by staying at home or by joining them on the street and by not showing up in Freedom Hall for that grand opening. They are using this as a ploy to block the road to Freedom Hall, the road to Custom Roundabout and to Jamajuba, and we will not accept that. And so, in fact, we are asking all the parliamentarians who are nationalists, who have not been bribed, and who are not in that parliament just because they get paid, but to serve their country, not to show up on that day and to stand up with their constituencies. We also ask the people of South Sudan, if the government insists to swear in the parliamentarians What a great opportunity to have the whole government, the parliament, and the executive in one place. Let us all flock to Freedom Hall on that day and do a sit-in together with the parliamentarians and with the president until our demands are met. So this is a great initiative, and we invite all the citizens to march to Freedom Hall on the 30th to sit in with the parliamentarians until their demands are met. So that is our appeal to the citizens and to the parliamentarians. Lastly, we want to remind our people that the 30th of August 2021 is the National Day of Awakening. And it's starting tomorrow, starting on the 26th, which is tomorrow, and the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, the 30th. We want you to make noise at 9 p.m. every night by ringing a bell, blowing a whistle, beating a drum, clapping any saucepan or any container that make noise, or ululating if you are a woman, or if you are boys. You can make any other sounds that wake up the people of South Sudan for the cause, and that call them to action. And it will also be a form of protest against a system that has not served you for the last 16 years. We also want to remind you that the government will display a lot of force to scare you and to deter you from protesting. But they will not dare to kill you when you come out, when you actually brave it out, because they know that it is a crime against humanity. It is an international crime, and they will pay for it, no matter how long it takes. So they will not shoot you, but they will scare you. And so we invite you to brave it out. We have no guarantees for security to save your lives, but freedom is expensive, and it is important, and we must have it at all cost. So we ask you to rise up on that day, go out, and express your views. And we ask you not just to go and protest and go home. We want you to sit in there and stay. No matter how long it takes, you will get water. You will get other basic necessities at that time, until our demands are met and until the President and Dr. Riek Machar step down. This is what the Day of National Awakening is for. So we want to thank you very much for all your support and for standing up for your rights. South Sudan will never be the same again. Within 24 days, because you have raised your voice, you have transformed the political landscape in the country. Everybody is now talking. Even the youth, even the individuals are raising their voice, including those who are paid to speak against us. We don't have a problem with that. In a country, people must have different opinions. So even those who have different opinions from us, we appreciate that. That is your freedom. That is your right. That is the country we want, where everybody has a right to say, to express their views, even if it is contrary to our own views. We want to do that. We want to expand this movement together. And I can assure you, we will prevail. We will win. Thank you very much. This message was brought to you by Awolich, member of the People's Coalition for Civil Action.